So we'll go ahead and kick it off. As though a lot of you probably know, yesterday we did announce that next week we are going to be launching the Art of Homeownership Neo Experience app. So it is not active this week. We want to make sure that that's clear and you're not having any difficulties downloading it or accessing it. You will get all that information from our team. But today we're just really excited from the Art of Homeownership, the Neo Experience. We're so excited to show you what this app really means for you and your clients, what it's going to look like from the logistics perspective and actually accessing the app. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the mission, how it adds to the Art of Homeownership and the Neo Experience mission as a whole. So we're excited to have Brian Vieaux from Finlocker on with us today to share a little bit about the app, creating it for the Art of Homeownership, how it's different than the regular Finlocker app that you may have seen already. But I'm going to kick it over to Ryan first. We're going to talk a little bit about the overall mission of launching this app and really how it's going to just add and benefit Art of Homeownership mission as a whole.
Awesome. Thanks, Val. So team, this is a long time coming. We have been working on this idea and this concept for almost a year now, maybe a little bit longer. And since we started Art of Homeownership, our mission was to create a infrastructure and a system and a platform that helps real estate and mortgage professionals be more valuable to the customers that they serve, and to help someone to not just own a home, but to help someone really become a successful homeowner, right? And to help them establish long-term generational wealth, to help them work towards financial freedom through financial literacy. And I'm proud of what we've done thus far as a company, but I'm really proud of where we're headed now with this being a tangible service and something that can exist in our clients' lives, and we can become a much more frequently utilized service, right? So some of you have seen me talk about the frequency of use case in our industry, right? And for the last, I would argue 10 years, we have been a fairly frequently used industry, right? Because interest rates have been fluctuating, but they've been trending down for, basically since 2008. And as, rates continue to go down, people move up and buy new homes, equity, home prices have been appreciating the entire time. So we've been a very frequently used industry. That's changed, right? And, we can very quickly and actually are becoming an infrequently used industry as real estate and mortgage professionals. Now, we run the risk of people forgetting about us and not finding our value if we can't insert our value into their life. And again, we've done a good job of that with the different services that we've used, but now we will be on their phones. We will be, ideally something that we can teach and educate the clients that they should be looking at on a daily, weekly, monthly basis and engaging with us. Because again, remember the stat, 99% of Americans will not engage with financial planners. They will not engage with CPAs or tax professionals. They will not engage with attorneys for estate plans, wills, or trusts, which means, very few people are going to have the opportunity or the information to become wealthy. Well, we can fix that, right? As mortgage professionals, we're going to have a chance to talk to that 99%, right? Because they'll all at some point inquire about potentially buying a home. And we can absolutely make it now well known to the consumer base that you don't have to want to buy a home or refinance your mortgage to connect with an Art of Homeownership based mortgage professional to get advice, to get guidance, to get tools, to get systems to be able to grow and improve as a potential homeowner, as in a current homeowner. So I'll share my screen real quick. We're going to go through a couple slides and I'll kick it over to Brian and Chris and the Finlocker team to get started here. So give me one second. You guys all see this? We good here, Val?
Just one. Yep, you're good.
Okay. So if you're wondering why we're creating this app, it's because we want to give our clients even more ways to take control of their finances, right? And Brian and Chris will go through a little bit of the product demo, but they'll have credit monitoring, they'll have budget tracking. We'll have more opportunities for renters and prospects, right? To really, make sure that everybody can see how valuable we can be for them. Right? There'll be financial wellness that applies to everybody that they'll be able to understand and know how to utilize. And it really simplifies all of the Art of Homeownership tools, and it brings it into one system. Hey, Val, can you or the team double check that we can get over 100 participants in here? I just want to confirm, because I see we're at 100 and that scares me.
Yeah, let me try to check that.
All right, we had that problem with Neo before we increased the user amount. So it'll have all of the tools, combined into one place. Looks like we're over, so we're good.
Yep. Great.
And all the tools, so they'll be able to access their home binder account or their home concierge. They'll be able to connect with their customer success manager to be able to schedule their annual financial reviews. They'll have real-time updates on their net worth, right? So it'll really bring everything together, and it'll tie you much more closely to the client. When it comes to our value to the overall mission, again, it will definitely increase financial literacy. When we talk about budgeting, I mean, almost no one has a budget, or if they do, they made it one time 3 years ago and they haven't looked at it since. This is our version of, mint.com or whatever else, but it's our specific, app with data with mortgage data that allows them to stay continually approved for mortgages, allows us to communicate with them at a high level. And so we can be the de facto, financial guide to that client who ultimately becomes the hero. Right? We get to turn everyone we meet into a future client. If you're an Art of Homeownership mortgage professional, you should absolutely be trying to get as many people to have your app on their phone as humanly possible, because it's not a mortgage app. It just happens to, to really correlate closely with what we do in the mortgage space, right? So you really can adopt as many clients as you possibly can, which I believe is the key to the future of the mortgage industry's success, right? Not waiting until someone says, I want to buy, sell, or finance a home. It's giving them tools and information and proactive advice, and then helping them decide when they should buy, sell, or finance a home. And then we just help them when that happens, right? But the key is to get to them early and even, help them make that decision. Next is we want to help make owning a home more rewarding and less stressful. Brian and Chris will talk about how easy it will be for our clients to be approved, right? How easy they can push their documentation, their day one certainty information over into our system. And then ultimately, once they become a homeowner, it becomes less stressful because they can see the analytics, right? They can look at their overall finances, they can connect with us, and we can really show them what the difference between just owning a home and being a successful homeowner is. Next, again, it'll increase touch point frequency with clients after the loan closes, more conversations and opportunities to add value. We will be a very frequently used industry if we can do this at a high level. If we can teach the client that the mortgage professional and the real estate professionals they choose to work with can deliver way more opportunity for them to achieve generational wealth than almost anybody else in their life, because they likely won't have the amount of assets needed for a financial advisor to take them seriously, right? Between this app and our knowledge and our guidance and what we can do, we can become a very frequently used team in that client's life. So the Finlocker mission and vision, I'm going to turn that over to Brian and Chris, and I'll let you guys chat about that, and then I will jump back in here a little bit towards the end. But Brian, Chris, appreciate you being here. Take it away.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. I wish I would. I'm going to take the recording of you because you kind of nailed when you talked about the Art of Homeownership mission. You really covered a lot of the bullet points that we talk about at Finlocker. So thanks for having me. I'm Brian Vieaux, President and COO of Finlocker. Just a couple things about me. I'm not a career technology guy. I spent 28 years in mortgage banking, kind of right in the front lines in mortgage production management. And so I came at this fintech experience with a mortgage experience and an operator experience. And so a lot of what attracted me to Finlocker is what we continue to develop and what we're going to show you today. Essentially, our mission is to provide consumers through our partners, Art of Homeownership and Neo, a financial fitness tool, a holistic financial fitness tool that supports outcomes. Today, we happen to support mortgage as an outcome, But as our product evolves, imagine other financial services outcomes that are derived from a set of journeys that sit on top of a consumer's direct source data. And as we go through the demo today, I want you guys to just kind of keep a couple things in the back of your mind. When a consumer downloads the app, and we're going to show you what that looks like here in a minute. When the consumer downloads the app and begins to engage the app, they're going to link to their financial life, essentially. And it starts typically with credit. They're going to link to their credit file, and they're going to see their score and their credit report. That process of linking to their credit, we do a identity verification step. So we verify who the heck the person is, right? Beyond credit, we allow the user to link to their financial accounts, both sides of their personal ledger, assets and liabilities. So checking, savings, investment, 401k, IRA, life insurance policies. On the liability side, personal loans, charge cards, gas cards, utility bills, credit cards, student loans, auto loans, mortgage loans, et cetera. I mean, essentially, if there are online credentials for an account, 9 times out of 10, that account can be successfully linked in Finlocker, and then the source data from that account is what really starts to drive the journey. We're not showing a screen yet, but Val, in a minute, I'm going to ask you to put the slide back up. And then what's the next set of data that we're working on linking for users today is employment and income data. So by midsummer in the app, the same way a user would link to their bank account, as an example, they'll be able to link directly to their payroll account. And so you'll have this kind of always on set of data that is direct source, right? And like I said, it's going to drive the journeys and engagement. Today, the primary journey that we drive is readiness for mortgage. And it's not just up the funnel, first time home buyer readiness, but it's kind of ongoing readiness. So when Danny and Ryan and I kind of first started talking and got engaged with the team at both NEO and AOH, we did see right away kind of a match with the mission. And we're excited about the opportunity to partner with you. We've already, you guys have a custom version of Finlocker. We built some things to support the AOH NEO launch that aren't in our other versions of the product. And that's exciting for us because it's showing the depth and the flexibility of our platform to be able to kind of expand and customize. So with that, what we'll do is we'll jump into a couple slides and then I'll share the actual product itself. So Val, if you could pop those screens back up, that'd be great. Awesome. So we all know who we are. Here we are. So it's from a logistics perspective, when we launch, and so I think Val's going to talk about this at the end of the call today, but when the launch takes place and your members, your customers are invited to the Art of Homeownership or NEO Experience app, they're going to receive an invitation email. This is an example of that email. This is the Art of Homeownership view. I think there's a next slide is the NEO, same messaging, just obviously branded differently. This email has the call to action to do one of two things: either download the app from the App Store, and when they download the app, they'll have a individual code. Each originator has their own unique code that ties that member or consumer to your app. So when they log in, they're going to see you in there. So in this case, they'd see Larry Loan Officer. Once they click that app and they download the app and they open up, setting up their account is super easy. It's user IDs, email address, they create their password. They're going to input first name, last name, zip code, mobile number, accept the terms of service. They're going to get this last pop-up in the lower right of the screen where they're going to agree to the data sharing. Let me just talk a little bit about the data sharing. There's 2 layers of data that are shared from the app. The first layer happens when the consumer consents here. And by the way, they don't get the app if they don't consent. And this first layer is events, alerts, milestones, activities, things that the user is doing in the app. Those are available through the admin portal. And then the second share, which we'll go through in the product demo, is when they actually share their detailed data for a mortgage application. We'll show you what that looks like. Next slide. So following that consent, they're going to get a MFA text to their mobile where they'll input that one-time passcode, and then they'll get this digital confetti party. Congratulations, you've successfully set up your AOH member account or your Neo Experience app. Those are the two calls to action. And then once they log back into the app, they'll see this landing page. So this is the web version. So there's two ways consumers can access the product. This is the web app screenshot. There's also a mobile we'll show you in a minute. Most of what I demo out of today is going to be in the web app. It's just easier to navigate, but Chris is going to share at the end a quick nav of the mobile look and feel. But once the consumer logs back in after that initial setup, this is what they're going to see. They're going to see their loan officer. There's Ryan in the upper right. This is the Art of Homeownership branded experience. Then they're going to see a set of widgets. If you can flip to the next one, Val. This is the Neo version. If you'll notice here, the credit's not enrolled, accounts aren't enrolled, those two upper left widgets. So the app has calls to action once they come in, kind of what should they do next? The first thing would be, monitor your credit and get your credit score and credit report. So they would go through that enrollment process. Also very simple. 9.9 times out of 10, the last 4 digits of your SOCH or the consumer SOCH unlocks that widget. Sometimes there's some out of wallet questions that the user has to answer in order to get that widget to fire up. And then they would go into the next one, which is enrolling their accounts. I'm going to show you more detail on that. Notice at the bottom, you'll see a little peek of the moving services widget. This is an example of a unique widget that we built as part of this app rollout. So these services exist in the AOH Neo app only today. Next slide, Val. And then this is, it didn't wording's kind of weird there, but this is a quick look at what the mobile looks like when somebody first logs in. On the far left, when they first come into the dashboard, they'll see those calls to action to check your credit, view your finances, explore affordability. They could scroll down the dashboard, see some of the other widgets. And then again, you see to the far right, meet your lender. There's where Ryan is the prominent contact here for the member in the app. So each of you are getting set up with your own account of Finlocker. And again, that unique, either that unique URL link if someone signs up on the web, or that unique registration code when the consumer signs up is what's going to tie them to you. So with that, Val, I think I can start sharing my screen.
Okay, go for it. If you have any issues, let me know, but you should be able to.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Let me just make sure. All right, can you see the dashboard there?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to demo, like I said, mainly out of the web app. All the feature functionality that is in the web app is also in the mobile. It's just a lot easier to do a demo and navigate through the web app than it is mobile. So first off, the logo. We're in the Art of Homeownership app. So this is where the logo for Art of Homeownership is. The loan officers in the upper right. There's Ryan again. Just a quick navigation. You saw it on the screen before in the slide, where these widgets, the credit and accounts, were not populated, but in this locker, everything's linked. So now you can see when I come in, I've got access to my credit score. Behind this widget is credit report. And there's a lot here. I believe, Val, next week we're going into a much deeper technical demo or training, if you will. So I'm going to touch on high level feature function here, and then Chris next week and the team will go into the deep dive. But here, essentially from this credit widget, they have access to their full credit report and kind of click into any of these areas and see pay history. They can actually go into their full credit report. There's some quick links for freezing credit, quick links to sign up for opt out. So opt out of the do not call, the direct mail, et cetera. And then we can go over here to the right to the detail account, all the accounts reported. So now this is the actual credit report in each account. They can click into each of those accounts and see kind of pay history, balance, et cetera. Couple features that are super cool. First one is Credit Simulator. So on Credit Simulator, I'm going to show you with a couple clicks, if I were to reduce my outstanding credit card balance, let's just say by $30,000, just to play with this, and click Simulate, it should give me an increase, and here it is, an increase of 14 points in my credit score. So at any time, the user can come in and simulate changes to their credit score using this simulator feature, including paying off all credit cards. See what that does. It raises it 31 points. And then this other feature, Credit Compass, which is a beta right now, but it's in all the lockers. From here, I'm sitting at a 766 score. Let's say I wanted to know what it would take to get to an 820. I would type in 820, click Simulate. And now I get a little roadmap, what to do in the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months that will help me achieve my goal of increasing my score by 54 points. Highly engaging tools for the user on credit. Not that this is a marketing session, but I think personally, just in the credit tools alone, there's probably dozens, if not 100 messages, calls to action, social media posts that originators could create to attract new customers to your sales funnel. Not talking about mortgage at all, just talking about credit and credit tools. So think about that as you kind of get your product rolled out, that this is also a set of consumer-facing features that allow you to expand your marketing funnel and really at the top of the funnel, if you will. So now diving into financial accounts. So this accounts widget is where the user is going to link to their accounts. So you can see there's a bank account and a mortgage already linked in here. I'm going to open this up in a moment. Essentially, once the consumer starts to link their financial accounts in the locker, several other widgets come to life. Spending analysis, net worth, budgets and goals, and cash flow all are powered off of the linked accounts in the locker. And Ryan kind of hit on this when he talked about kind of your own version of Mint. I'll take it a step further. With the AOH app and the Neo Experience app, you essentially now have kind of this consumer-facing financial super app that brings in features of Mint, so budgeting, spending analysis, goal setting, Credit Karma and Credit Sesame around credit education, credit literacy, credit modeling, credit simulating, right? Zillow, Realtor.com, or the dreaded Rocket Homes, you have those kind of features with the embedded real estate search. And so you're actually giving your customers and prospects a tool that it brings in a lot of feature functionality that they may have to go get from 2, 3, 4, or 5 disparate apps, and you're bringing it all into one. So there's a lot of value for the consumer. Maybe you guys are already figuring this out, but the ultimate value, I think, to the originator is if your customers and your prospects are engaged with you in your app and they're not using these other apps, then they're not exposed to the marketplace of leads that those apps create for the Rockets and the Loan Depots and the Better Mortgages of the world. So another strategy is to get your prospects in here as early as possible, because you kind of put a moat around them to some degree and protect them from those other direct lenders. So,
Brian, sorry, I don't know if you want to answer questions throughout or you want to wait till the very end. What would you prefer? I should have asked you beforehand.
I like an engaged flow. So why don't you fire the questions and I'll answer them because I don't see them on here.
Okay. So Matt was asking, this is back talking about the credit scores. So will the credit score on the app line up with the credit score when they pull the credit?
Oh, good question. So the credit score today that's used in the product is Vantage 3.0. So it's a consumer credit score. It's not a mortgage FICO score. So directionally, here's what I would say is directionally, as consumers are, as their score is trending and changing, it directionally would flow in the same direction as the FICO score, but it's not going to be, point by point right on top of a mortgage FICO. What I will say is part of our roadmap with our credit partner TransUnion is to understand the economics if we were to swap out Vantage score with a FICO score. There is a big economic difference in the price that Vantage score charges versus what FICO charges for their score. But we're exploring that with TU. That may be a later in the year initiative, but directionally is where I would kind of center on is if someone's coming in and they're generally improving their credit and their Vantage is improving, then they should see similar trajectory on their FICO. Not spot on point by point because the models are slightly different, but directionally they should still see that same trend.
Okay, awesome. There are a few questions here. So number one, this was answered in the chat, but to answer the question of, is this available to everyone or just clients? This is available to anyone and everyone. So as you guys are talking to, we always talk about it with Art of Homeownership. If you meet someone in the grocery store at like a family barbecue, you can add anyone to this app. And especially from the renter's perspective, this is going to be a huge advantage. They're going to be able to leverage this a lot more when planning for budgeting and what they can afford with their mortgage. So you should be getting as many people on this app as possible. Art of Homeownership will create some presentation materials, marketing materials around this. If our realtors use our app, are they able to use these features? I'm not sure what app Melissa's referring to there, but is there any, what are the possibilities, Brian, as far as co-branding with realtors or getting them involved in any sort of way with the app?
So the ability today in the Finlocker product, which is what we're looking at here, we only show the loan officer. Our roadmap includes being able to co-brand. So we'll just say later this year at the earliest. Our partner for real estate search, you'll see in the lower right-hand screen, you'll see Home Scout. They are our partner for real estate search. And we are working on a deeper integration with Home Scout that will support co-branding from the search experience, which in reality, if you're co-branding with a real estate partner, that's probably the most pertinent place for them to be prominent. So more to come on that. And I'll also, hopefully, many of you are already using kind of the beta version. When this app launches, I think it's next week in the App Store, we hope that all of you set up your own personal account and really kind of navigate and get very familiar with it. And we love feedback. We are a company that operates on a 2-week kind of development cycle. So we operate in 2-week sprints, and we take all the feedback from all of our clients and kind of have a process to distill it and then prioritize it. So as you're interacting with the product and you're getting feedback from your customers, please share that feedback. I don't know, maybe it's best, Val, to kind of come through you and then send it over to Chris and our team, but that feedback is gold for us, and it's much appreciated.
Awesome. Yeah, you can always reach out to the Art of Homeownership team, send any feedback to support, and we'll pass it along. There are a few more questions here. Nathan's asking, is there like a dummy account for tutorials in order to show clients?
We hopefully made this dummy proof so that it's super intuitive. I think what I would suggest is, and I think we're maybe working on this for you guys, is a short video.
Okay.
I think we're working on a short tutorial video that you guys could share that kind of gives kind of the a drive-by or a tour, if you will, of the product in a bite-sized video. I think that's in the queue with our team.
Awesome. I will say I've already interacted with the app and it is very user-friendly. It's not, you shouldn't need, I would say, the tutorial. So Brian's on point with that. So are the loan officers able to push notifications to users? So if they would want to send a sort of message to everyone that's using their version of the app?
Today, we're not configured to allow for a individual user, in this case, a loan officer, to push notifications out. Part of our roadmap includes some advanced notification capabilities. So today, the notifications are all driven at the enterprise level. So there would be a set of messages and notifications that would come from either Neo or Art of Homeownership, and then those would go out as part of the experience to all users. But we do have part of our communication roadmap includes some more kind of customization capabilities. That's down the road a bit.
Okay, great. I think let's keep trucking for now, Brian. I think a lot of these might be answered next week in the deeper dive. So let's go through the rest of the demo, and then at the end we can circle back to some of these.
And just one thing.
I'm answering as many questions as I can here on the chat.
Thank you, Chris.
So I'm playing catch up, so please be patient.
Yeah, they're coming in hot and heavy here. So team, just if anyone came in late, now, we developed this for Art of Homeownership, and we've white labeled it for all the Neo users. So for Neo, it'll be considered the Neo Experience app, and everything will look and feel the same. But if you're not at Neo and you're an Art of Homeownership partner, then it's the Art of Homeownership app with your brand and everything on it as well. So just want to make that clear to everybody, in case anybody was wondering.
Yeah, great point, Ryan. So I just happen to be in the Art of Homeownership locker. It's everything functionality wise is the same. It's just the different branding in the Neo experience. Okay, so financial accounts, I'll just quickly open this up, and next week we're going to go into a deeper dive, but adding an account is very easy. You would just start by either selecting one of these big box brands here, or if you bank with like I do with Flagstar Bank, you could type in Flagstar, and then you would just log into your account here, hit next, and then the next thing that would happen for the user is a modal window would open up on top of this, and the user at the same time would get a text to their mobile device with another one-time passcode from Flagstar in this case, and then that would link that account. Once the account's linked in the locker, you'll see across the top are several tiles of linked accounts, but down below are all the transactions from every linked account, and the locker harvests all the transactional data from each business day, each evening. So tomorrow, when I log into the locker, I would see all the transactional data from today through today. And that really starts to power things like the spending analysis. Here, I can see all the spending for the month. I can click into anything. If I want to just see food and dining, I would click into this gold one here, and it would just sort my transactions by food and dining over here to the right. I can look at it in a table view versus the grid versus a month over month over month. So there's the most 3 months by category. I can see all my spending. So great tools, again, for helping people understand their spending habits. And then more importantly, if it's a early journey first-time home buyer, how to build strategies to maybe decrease spending in certain areas, which is a good segue into our budgets. In the budgets widget, users can do a couple different things. When they first come in, they could either set individual spending budgets. You'll see here we've got home improvement, repair and maintenance, internet, and auto vehicle insurance as 3 examples of unique budgets. They can also create goals, a goal for an emergency fund, a goal to save for a new home, a goal to save for a retirement. And then I'll just show you real quick on setting a goal, how easy it is. So if I want to set a goal for, let's just call this second home. And I know I'm going to buy a second home for $250,000. it's automatically calculating a 10% down payment. I can make that a greater amount. Let's just say I want to get closer to 20% for giggles. And it estimates closing costs. I create a goal for 63,000 here. I'm going to set my target date. When do I want to have this goal achieved? So let's just say a couple years out, go out into April 2024. And then I select which account or accounts I'm going to link that goal to, and what percentage of that account am I going to allocate towards the goal achievement. So 15%. And now I just created a goal for my second home over here. 63,916 is the goal amount. So far, there's 2,500 towards it. And the locker now, this is another engagement opportunity. The locker is going to track the user's progress towards that goal, and at least once a month send an update notification to the user advising them, where they're at on that path to come back in. So the locker is doing things while the user's in it, but also when the user's not in the app, which is the majority of our time we don't spend in our apps. The app will communicate with the consumer when there's important information, updates, changes in their app that they should be alerted to. Things like you're on track for your goal, you're over budget, your credit score changed, it went up or down, the value of your home changed. All of those are engagement opportunities that will happen on your behalf. It's not Finlocker talking to the customer or your member. It's Art of Homeownership. It's you individually, or Neo Experience is doing the communication. We're just supporting, and we're the conduit for that. Chris is going to spend more time next week in this detailed budget, but I would just say this is a great place for first-time home buyers especially. What we did at Finlocker is we partnered with a handful of nonprofit housing counseling agencies and took the same format and calculations that are used by HUD-approved housing counselors and constructed this detailed budget using that same format. So when the user first enrolls in the app and they input their income, today they're going to input their income one time, gross, and then they're going to put in their deductions for their monthly withholdings, and then it's going to come up with a net. Once we have the direct link to payroll accounts, they won't need to manually input this. They'll be prompted to actually link to their payroll, because then we'll see their actual net pay. But for now, once they get to a net income number, then these tiles below all get populated with a planned budget, and then the actual spending in each category is tracked in each area. And just to give you an idea, if I click into home expenses, it breaks it down by rent versus mortgage, taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance, mobile, et cetera. So it's very detailed. And again, mirroring the HUD-approved housing counseling budget format. So again, we'll spend more time next week on the deep dive. Heard Ryan talk about net worth, and so we'll show you again quickly here. So there's two views of the data that feeds the net worth widget. There's what we call system generated data. So this represents data coming from linked accounts in the locker. So if I've linked savings, IRA, 401k, investment accounts, et cetera, those would all come in here and show under system generated. But for any area where someone doesn't have an account linked, like a CD as an example, they can manually input the value of that asset, and then that is tracked in this overall net worth statement. So we've got cash equivalents, retirement accounts, brokerage accounts, and then the liabilities come across with all those linked accounts. So credit cards, outstanding bills, mortgage balances, personal loans, all of this coming from the combination of their linked financial accounts and the credit report that's linked in the locker. And then another thing to keep in mind is anywhere where you see a little, media icon, the user, and this is also in the mobile experience, the user can click here, and there are short tutorials throughout that talk about this particular area. So this is breaking down the net worth widget in a little bit more detail. So there's a lot of support embedded throughout the experience wherever you see a little icon like that. Same thing with this hover over questions. You can get quick information that way as well. So going a little bit deeper into some of the other AOH value pieces. So tracking the value, the user can either click this middle tile, or they can go into their property. So if I click into that, I'm going to come into the property widget. We bring in a estimated value, and this particular locker has their mortgage account linked in the locker. So you can see we're presenting estimated equity using the AVM less the current balance on that mortgage. What's cool here is this balance is not projected, it's not an algorithm, and it's not coming from a credit report, which may be 45 or 60 days in arrears. This is coming directly from the linked mortgage account. So if I made a payment on this mortgage account yesterday, this balance would be reflective of that payment being made, and obviously the equity piece would be updated. They could see nosy neighbor, so homes sold near theirs. They can go right into property search from here. HomeBinder is one of your partners for the home concierge. The consumer, your member, can log into their HomeBinder account here. And then if someone's using the moving services, either through Updater or the renovation services through Revive, they can also begin those processes right here. So this is part of that customization that Finlocker did with AOH and Neo to bring these important member-facing services into your app. Let's see here. Let's see. Next in the tile, we've got so this rotating tile in the middle is actually owned. You guys kind of, your admin can put any messages. So this is an example of where Art of Homeownership or Neo could push out messaging or information through this tile that it would hit every locker. So this one's going to the mortgage calculator. So we have embedded mortgage calculators. One that says, how much can I afford? That's driven off of all the direct source data in the locker. The user can come in. If they come in this case, they say they can afford 462, but they want to stretch it. You know, what would it look like if I bought a house that was, 525? You go into red. Now we're past being eligible, right? I'm not going to qualify per se, but I still can see all the payments here. Also note another place where the user can quickly create a savings goal, similar to the way I set up that goal for my second home. If I click this create goal call to action, it's going to take the estimated down payment and closing costs here and use that as my create goal scenario. The user can come in and open up any of these areas and go deeper. They can change the down payment. They can estimate higher, lower closing costs, things of that sort. These are calculators that users and consumers go out on the web for today. This is another example of giving them value in your app that keeps them in your ecosystem. They can also model paying off their loans faster, home equity, and debt consolidation. The debt consolidation is pretty cool because you can see it's bringing in the linked accounts, both from the credit report and what the consumer's already linked in the locker. And so this is where they can run some models on what would it look like if I did a refinance and rolled in, an outstanding credit card balance as an example. All right. This information center is another area of content. Today, Finlocker is providing some kind of generic real estate / mortgage blog content. But at some point, we know we've talked with the team at AOH about bringing some very specific AOH content. So this would be ultimately linked to content driven through you all. So let's play a quick scenario and just assume that you've invited a current renter into your app, and they've been in there for 8 to 10 months, kind of getting themselves ready. And now they've achieved kind of the readiness. The app has kind of said, congratulations, it looks like you'll qualify, and they want to start the mortgage process with you all. So a couple different ways they can get to that process. I'm going to go through the share center to do this. Going into the share center, the user starts a process to aggregate and share data and documents. I didn't show you the documents folder, but users can store documents in the locker. Chris is going to go into that next week in the deep dive demo. But here, I'm going to share with Art of Homeownership, right, or the loan officer. And let's just make this a home loan. And now we come into this area where the consumer can now select both financial accounts. So I know that I'm going to use this for my savings or my down payment, and I can select data for my liability accounts, but any documents I've stored along the way, like tax returns, pay stubs, maybe a divorce settlement. They consent. So the user consents and acknowledges that they're sharing this with a loan officer for a mortgage application. And now what's happening is Finlocker is aggregating and curating all the data, the direct source data behind the locker, and has just pushed an email to the loan officer. So I'll apologize in advance, Ryan. You just got an email from Finlocker saying that one of your customers has shared information for a mortgage application. And then on the other end of it, which Chris is going to go through next week on the admin portal demo, the loan officer, in this case, Ryan, through the link that was just sent to him, would click the link, log in with his credentials to the Finlocker admin portal, and then see what was just shared and accept what was just shared from the consumer, from the locker. And that content is a combination of data and documents. What we do is we take all the data, including that direct source asset data, the information from the credit file, any data that was compiled through the consumer answering questions in the profile when they set up their app, and we format it into a MISMO compliant Fannie 3.4 data set. And then the PDFs that you saw me attach, the tax returns, pay stubs, divorce settlement decree, are also available in PDF form. And then we take the asset data that was shared, that bank account data that was shared, and configure that into a asset report that's accepted by the agencies for asset documentation. The data contains a Fannie asset key, which is kind of the day one certainty key, if you will, for digital asset verification. And then later this summer, when we enable the user to link directly to their payroll, that same way you get the data from the financial accounts, the bank accounts, you'll get the data from payroll, and we will be giving you the pay stubs right from that payroll account. So the consumer that uses the locker early journey for preparing prior to application is going to be obviously very well prepared. And then when they first pass that information to you, you're going to have a much more complete initial set of data to work off of when they first start that mortgage application with you.
Yeah. So team, another way of saying that is, from an easier perspective, is the client can literally push over a loan approval to you, right? They can push over their credit, their income, their assets. It'll all be verified through Encompass. You'll be able to run DU and LP straight from what they've pushed over. You won't have to ask them for bank statements. You won't have to ask them for pay stubs. Their credit will be uploaded, and you'll have your loan approval ready to go. And then underwriting won't need to ask for it because it's all been validated. So whatever other documents you may need for full approval will just be, appraisal potentially, unless you get a waiver, title, and you're ready to go.
Exactly. Thanks for that. And I realized I was going so fast, I skipped the readiness assessment, which is usually the precursor to someone sharing to start a mortgage application. So I'm clicking into the readiness here. And now Finlocker's analyzing all of that source data in the locker. And so green is good. So we've got green across credit. So we validated from the credit report, no bankruptcies, no foreclosures, no late payments in the last 12 months. And then the score is actually greater than this guideline of 640. We actually calculate DTI. So we calculate debt to income ratio today from that self-reported income, but later this summer, it'll be direct source income. And then the liabilities is coming from a combination, again, of the credit report and the linked accounts, the linked financial accounts. So the user has kind of transparency on where they stand across some of these major categories for mortgage readiness. Chris, this is a good segue for me to hand it to you for a quick preview of the mobile app. You don't have to go into the feature functionality, but at least just so they can see kind of the view of the mobile app for the user if they haven't already downloaded that themselves.
Sure. And apologies for not being on camera. It won't let me start my camera for some reason.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was depriving you. I just made you a co-host, Chris.
Just thought you didn't want to see me. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen here. Let's see. 1 second. So yeah, like Brian mentioned, what I'll be showing you is the mobile app version of this. Let me know when you can see the phone icon on here.
Yep,
There it
looks
is.
good.
So I'm running one of the few that run the Android phones, but the iPhone has a face biometrics. Android can do face and fingerprint as well. So all modern app. When a user comes in here first time, you'll see this register here, but there'll actually be a bigger button to say, hey, come when you want to register, to make it very clear. They're going to use their, on first enrollment, they're gonna have to use their password, but after that, they can use biometrics. It's going to take them in. So some of the calls to action they'll get in the mobile app here is if they haven't done this. So if I had already enrolled credit, it wouldn't show me this. But sorry, just closing that out. So you're going to get in here. You're going to see the dashboard, just like all the feature functionality that Brian showed you. It's going to be in one view here. This is just a test account, so we don't have any credit history, but this would show that linear graph of their credits. Their accounts, same thing in here, but they're just mobile scrolling from side to side. They could jump in and see details. There's the affordability calculator right there on the dashboard. And then this is just content. You'll see content rolling in and out of here for consumers, but it really is trying to serve something up that's very relevant for all consumers, especially in their home ownership journey. These are the offers widget that Brian had also showed, which are very specific to the AOH and or NEO. NEO would have their own branded ones as well. And this is fully controlled by AOH and NEO. And then the meet your lender here. So, as you guys are all getting set up in your admin profile, you're going to, have this basic information, but they can come in and say, contact Ryan. It's going to pop up the email client and just, pre-draft an email to them that they can just put in whatever content that they want. Spending analysis, same thing. Brian showed you, just in a mobile friendly format. They can look at a calendar view. They can go back in time if they want. And because we pull back 12 to 24 months of transactions, this isn't like, hey, this month, and that's all it shows. They're going to get a look back from the day they enroll with all their financial institutions that they enroll. Back here to the dashboard. Same thing, the home value. Your HomeMinder link, one thing I want to call out here, or sorry, and this is the HomeMinder. Let me get into the HomeMinder piece. So under my property, there's going to be the HomeMinder piece of it. So they're going to have their property enrolled, they're going to see their net equity comparables, but they're going to have home maintenance. The reason why I'm stopping on here is this is just a test account, but with you guys will have your own unique links for the sign up. And so if when AOH or NEO helps you set that up, you'll be placing the unique link in there and you'll have the login button. And if they have the link in there, the sign up button that will tie directly to the sign up function that you guys as the partners of AOH have. Similarly, on the moving services, this is very unique to AOH and NEO. It's not in any of our other clients' apps. You have the stuff out to relocation and renovation services that being updated and revived. And then all of the other same services that that Brian had walked you through. We're going to go into depth in next week's session, so it'll be time for a lot of questions and diving into specific areas, including I know there's a lot of questions on the chat about what we'll be able to see, how are we going to track all of this, that kind of thing. You're going to also have access to what we call our admin portal, and so you'll be able to go in and see all of the activity that your clients have, not all the activity, but client activity on all of your consumers. At a holistic look, you can dive into individual consumers, and then if they elect to share data with you, that's where Brian had mentioned that you're going to get that share file that's going to have a lot of that PII data. And then I'll just jump over to the readiness to show you what it looks like in mobile. Yeah, so all of the same feature functionality in there in mobile and users. I use this every day, and You know, if I'm sitting on my desktop, I use my web, you know, my computer, and if I'm out on the go, I use my mobile app. So it's all interchangeable. Any update that they do in one place will be, you know, reflected in the other place.
Val, do we want to try to tackle some of the questions? I'm gonna, Chris, you may be able to stay a little bit longer than I, but I got to jump for this other one.
Yeah, I can start answering some of these questions verbally if you want.
Okay, I can help you tackle that. So there are some questions in the chat. Is there, not to put you on the spot, is there any hope that they will be able to incorporate HomeBot into the app in the future?
So I think that's a larger discussion that we just AOH and Neo. I can't answer at this time. Technically, that's doable, but I think that's just a larger partnership discussion.
Homebinder celebrity. Okay, Homebinder with Celebrity is looking to link Encompass and auto-populate closing documents into their binder. Will this integration be able to be pulled into the app?
So we are working on integrations with both of those mentioned companies. Those are not available today, but we are working on those. But again, that's going to go into the larger platform discussions with AOH and Neo.
If the user's logging into their Homebinder account from the Art of Homeownership or Neo Experience app, they would see anything that's in the Homebinder account that came from that Encompass integration.
Yeah, so just so if you're at Neo, Homebinder will be synced with Encompass, and so everything will push into that, which means it will live in the Homebinder account, which obviously links to this. So it'll all be integrated from that perspective.
Okay, and so I think that answered Nathan's question. So Nathan is asking, the common thread with these questions is, will the app serve as the common hub for all other services?
So I think that the directionally, what we want to be able to do to support AOH and Neo is where it makes sense to create integration points with other partners, and using things like single sign-on, create a single experience. But today we're not there. We're in kind of stage one, which is we're going to create quick links for people to get to those services, but they'll still have to log into each of those services through those links. And then over time, as we partner with folks like Homebinder, then using a single sign-on type of feature, then that would be kind of an embedded, integrated experience. But it's not there today.
Okay.
I know we only have 2 minutes left here. So first, I just wanted to say thank you to Brian and Chris for coming on today. Next Wednesday, we'll go much more in depth with the product overview. And then over the next 4 to 5 weeks, as we move through June, we will get everyone signed up on it. We'll get it all rolled out. We'll create material and content around it. And I know there's going to be a million questions. There's going to be a million, thing. Hey, what if we did this? And how about we do that? We totally get it. I've thought a million of those things. They're probably tired of hearing from me on those as well. But I will tell you, this is going to change the mortgage industry, right? Like what we're doing and what we're offering and what we're committing to our clients is going to make it very clear that you either get the cheapest mortgage and nothing else, or you work with the most valuable mortgage professionals in the country and real estate professionals in the country, and you know exactly what that commitment is to help you and your family grow your wealth and achieve financial freedom. Anybody in the middle is a melting ice cube, right? So if you're on this call, you're not that person. So congratulations, right? You get to tell everyone you're the most valuable person in life when it comes to real estate or finance, and this is why. So I'm excited of where this is headed. I'm really excited for all Art of Homeownership partners and for everybody at Neo and the Neo experience. You guys are all going to help us redefine what it means to be a mortgage professional. And this is just one of the major steps in helping us all do that. So thank you all. We're super excited.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Brian, and thanks, Chris, for joining. Just before everyone has to jump from a logistical perspective, next week, you will start to receive communication from our team to download the app and access the back end of everything. And then first week of July, we're going to start rolling it out and getting the communication to everyone that's already enrolled in your Art of Homeownership Neo Experience environment. So keep an eye out for communication. We will be over communicating to you about all of this. Be patient with our team, please. We ask because it's a somewhat manual process to start getting this out to everyone, but we're super excited. So thank you all for joining, and make sure to tune in next week for a deeper dive into the technical side of things. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you
There
guys
you go.
soon.